to get to that the freedom part is really focusing in, being laser focused on getting those leads, building relationships with people, really finding out what they're looking for and building that community with people like you, Jesse, the investors, all the
Mhm.
big names, the people that are local, all the local investors, and really fine tuning what they're looking for, what they're trying to overcome, and doing it together.
Al Nicoletti here, and you are on the Creative Cash Flow Show with Jesse Mills. Okay. And on the Creative Cash Flow Show, we're talking about real estate secrets for achieving time and money freedom, right? Not just time, not just money, but time and money freedom. And as you and I were just talking about a second ago, you got that, my friend. You are single with no kids, just doing the thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Living the dream, living it and going for it, right? Just nonstop. It's been a crazy first half of the year, and even last year was crazy. So it's been wild.
So I know that you are known, you're like the guy, the go-to guy in a few different areas, but I want you to tell everyone why you're the guy. I know what it is, but what do people come to you for all the time, man? What were you just talking up on stage a few weeks ago when we met down in Florida at the Hero Real Estate Coaching event?
Yeah. So first, Jesse, thanks so much for having me on your show
Thanks
and
for being
having
here,
me
dude.
on here. Love it, humble. And it's a privilege to be with somebody on your caliber that understands the real estate world, and not just the real estate world with real estate, but even a lot of the other things that we were talking about before with mindset, speaking,
Yeah.
and life stuff, right? There's a lot more to it than just real estate, as real estate's 24/7, but we got to think about the other things that are going on. So
Mhm.
again, happy to be here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, man. The thing that's really interesting about where I fit in a lot
Mhm.
of this world is a lot of times investors find problems with real estate. So, very rarely do you find in the investor world where it's
Mhm.
just that easy transaction, right? So many times it's like for the realtors, there's a house, it's going to be listed, they're going to find a buyer, go to the closing table, close, boom, done, right? And they're going to churn that out. But in
Mhm.
the investor world, a lot of the investors pick up the messy deals, distress, tax delinquent, foreclosure, a lot of the crazy wild deals out there. Well, what happens when you pick up those deals? There's something wrong, right? Either there's a probate, two probates, three probates, a wild deed, an incorrect legal description. And it's interesting because a lot of times investors pick up these crazy deals thinking, oh, we're going to close quickly, boom, done. And that may happen for deals from time to time, but many of them have some issue. And that's where I come in the Florida market. I am known as the Florida probate attorney that finds the solutions to the problems that a lot of investors come across in their deals.
You're
So,
the I know a guy. You're
yeah,
that guy.
yeah. So, like, even the other day, somebody said, "Hey, Al, um, I was referred to you by, I think it was like the Schlags, Ron LeGrand, another person." And I was like, all right, we're good.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
doing something right now. And
That's
they were just
awesome.
brand smacking new in the real estate world. It sounded like they had been doing stuff for a couple years, but getting back in the groove, wanted to get more into like the niche world with probate. Um, and I found that interesting because, I mean, when I first started doing this niche, I was trying to explain to everybody back in 2017 and 2018. I was like, this is a massive opportunity, massive opportunity. But what I didn't know back then was a lot of people didn't like probate because a lot of them thought, oh, it took years, it took like 12 months, 6 months, 9 months. And what do you know, Jesse? What buyer wants to wait that long if you're wholesaling that out? They're done, right?
Nobody.
Especially, yeah, but what builder is going to
Right.
wait that long? So
Yeah.
at the time, I didn't realize that there was a stigma like that.
Mhm.
Even though I was like, hey, we could do this fast, we could get this thing done. And I think it wasn't until I started getting some leads in, some probates in, and I was doing them in 2 days, 4 days. And this is pre-COVID when the courthouse was open. We were doing them 2 days, 4 days.
Wow. That's
Oh,
sick.
yeah. That's how it
That's
kinda started.
sick.
Yeah, that's how it started in the beginning when I moved to Jacksonville, where I realized that there was an opportunity with doing these things fast, and we'd be able to file it, walk it down. I mean, sometimes there were like 1 day. It was, like, crazy. Um,
Jesus.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
So you can understand how frustrating it was when the pandemic hit and we couldn't walk it down. They were
Oh,
sending everything by email.
yeah. Like Diane's at home in her basement. She's not talking to nobody, right?
Yeah, we can't get a
It's
hold of
shut down. The office is shut down.
shut down. We can't get a
Oh,
hold of anybody right now.
God.
But eventually it opened up. And that's where it also changed a lot too with my practice is because a lot of the investors that had probate deals were being told by the attorneys that were on the file, "Hey, the courthouse is closed. We can't get anything done." And I was like, "Courthouse isn't closed. Like, I'm sending orders in, I'm getting things done, we're getting stuff done." So, this world of probate is a fascinating one because they could be great, juicy deals. I mean, there could be ones that are really messy with 4, 5, 6 probates, but those are the ones where if you got the right problem solver that can come in and fix that, you could be making 100K, 90K. I mean, I saw one, I think I told you guys at the hero event, 200K off that
It's
one deal, off a
huge.
taxi deal. It's huge.
Yeah, that's worth trying to figure out some problems, right?
Right,
That is
exactly.
worth putting your brain power to the max and saying, okay, how do we solve this? How do we get in? What do we have to do? And I love that your brain thinks that way. Like our brain's got that in common, right? Like you see
Yeah.
something, you go, okay, it's not like you can maybe kind of see through the clouds and the fog a little bit. You're like, well, this is here and this is here, and we just kind of got to do this, and it's like a Rubik's cube. And if you can solve the Rubik's cube, right, you're getting an awesome deal. You're maybe helping your client or your partner, or for yourself, you're just getting a sweet deal, and it's working out for everybody.
Yeah, it's crazy though too because sometimes you get the Rubik's cube
Hmm.
that just won't move in that right direction, and it's not
Uh,
because of the investor or the realtor or the attorney. It's because of the whole family situation. So like, I have that mindset of like, let's figure it out. There's got to be a way. We had one deal recently where for a long time my best friend and I were brainstorming about the no air property. Like it's exciting because people are like, no airs, what do we do? Can we get the property? Can we do this thing?
yeah.
And when we got the first opportunity like 3 years ago, we were all excited, but then they never did anything. Well, just had another one come in and the genealogist ran a whole search, found nobody, zero. So we were like, oh my gosh, here we go again. The experiment, we call it the experiment. So we were ready. We prepared all the documents, had the
Mhm.
lawyer ready to be the personal representative, ready to go, tax deed auction happening in 3 weeks. We had to get everything signed. Day of tax deed auction, investor pays off the tax deed. 3 hours later, in comes another attorney filing a notice of appearance on behalf of 7 first cousins.
No way.
And yeah, nobody even knew about that. And it's
Oh.
and it's that kind of stuff that
Mm.
you couldn't have foreseen that. You couldn't have predicted that when you had all the right pieces in play. But the
Mhm.
one thing that we do differently and I worked on the last couple of years is having that solution mindset to these deals the
Mhm.
best you can, right? And the money's got to make sense. The players got to be participating.
Mhm.
Once in a while we get the air that speaks on behalf of everybody and says, "No, they're going to sign up a paper and they don't want anything to deal with it." And it's like, they got to participate. We got to
Yeah.
have everybody in.
Yeah.
But it's having that
That's gonna be
real
tough.
conversation, having that conversation, being the problem solver to these deals. I could tell you stories, amazing success stories about how we were able to overcome a 6 probate deal. I told everybody in the audience about that deal. 6 probates, one
6.
property. Yeah,
That's
six.
nuts. It's nuts.
Yes. They went to 4 different
How does that even
attorneys.
happen?
The family doesn't do anything for years and somebody pays the taxes for 50 years. Or they didn't even know. They thought they owned it. That's like the other thing. They think they own it, so it's mine. Like I remember there was one lady, there was like a 50% interest with somebody that was deceased and she owned the other 50. And I said, "Well, we need to do probate." She goes, "Why? I own it." I'm like, "Well, you don't own the whole thing." And she was like, "I own it." I was like, "Well, you got 50%." And
Yeah.
it's having those tough conversations, but
Wow.
when you've been through this 300 times, I've gone through 250 probates, more than 50 this year. I gotta be at
Wow.
300 plus. And I've just seen so many heir issues or people that don't want to cooperate or amazing heirs that want to cooperate and they understand the big picture. Let's get this done. So, crazy world of probate. And I think I've pushed this message to the max. I've really been out there at the forefront, do videos constantly on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and explaining it to you guys as the people that have been in this industry for a while and your students that are going through these deals and stuff, right? So it's really honing in on what are you guys seeing? What are your students seeing? What
Mhm.
are the investors seeing out there and overcoming those issues?
Yeah, dude, you're super active, man. I love it. You put a lot of great stuff out there, and you're just always sharing and just dropping gold. And because the more people that can grasp what you're saying, and there's just all these little tools. You're just like dropping those little tools out there. And for a lot of people, like, you said it really well. A lot of people are just intimidated by it, and they don't want to deal with it because they think it's tougher than it is or bigger than it is, and maybe sometimes it is, right? Depending on the situation, of course. But what would you say to someone who's rarely encountered probate issues, and or maybe you're working on the first one now? Just for, I know this is 101 for you, but
No, it's funny you say that. So had a deal recently where investor referred another investor and they said, "Al, I never run into probate ever. I've done I've done hundreds of flips." I don't even
Mhm.
know what the number was. They said they do flips all the time. They said, "This is the first time I've run into a probate." So I'm like, "Oh, okay, like, we'll figure it out. We'll see what's going on."
Mhm.
Come to find out, actually, they're going through another probate on a different property that's taken a year already. And they're just
What?
like, "Wait a second. I mean, this is crazy. Are you gonna take a year? I don't want to take a whole year." I'm like, "Well, don't worry. Let's really see what's going on." It sounded like a JV partner.
Mhm.
Um, so I break down the whole story and I find out that who we really need is a spouse. And the spouse, they had no email, they were by phone, they didn't really have any transportation to go anywhere. So I explained to the investor, I said, "Look, there's a process to this. We have to find a way to get the documents. We have to
Mhm.
find a way to communicate with them. You got to make sure you pull title and you get the right people that you need for contract purposes. You handle all that stuff, right?
Mhm.
But on my end, there's a process. It's not going to take a year on this, but it's understanding and having the trust and faith that this is going to get done and it's not going to take a year, but we got to have time and drafting and be able to prep everything and send it and file it and get the orders we need." And
Mhm.
I think when it comes to the people that are doing it for the first time, there's a lot of anxiety about what's this, where's that, what's happening with this, well, are we going to get it? So the one I just had, I thought everybody wanted to get it done like ASAP. Like I got a couple emails in and they were like, "This should be straightforward. Like what's going on? What's going on?" It only been 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my gosh," and I looked and I'm like, "All right, we're gonna send the court order in." So we send the court order in and I let them know. I said, "Look, this is gonna probably, I say we get this back in 2 weeks." We find out we get it in like 2 days.
No way.
So I'm excited. I'm
Yeah.
thrilled that we get the order, right?
Yeah.
And then they're on the phone like, "I think you did it too fast." And I'm like, "Too fast? Like,
Like,
we're
what do you
doing it
mean?
wait, what happened?" Well, they didn't have the funding lined up,
Mhm.
okay? And then I was like, "All right, so, I'm not worried about that. You'll deal with that with a private
Mhm.
lender or OPM or do whatever."
Yeah.
And then I said, well, at least you have the spouse and then the other guy on the contract. And they were like, wait, I only have the guy, not the spouse. And I'm like, wait a second. You need these people, all these people on contract.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that ended up being crazy for him because I guess he didn't realize it or know. And now he had to go back and go get that person on the real estate contract. So a lot of the times the investors can learn by asking questions, not being afraid to say, what do I got to do? What do I need? What kind of patience? How much time? I'd rather
Yeah.
tell you, Jesse, straight up, it's going to be 2 to 3, 4 months
Mm-hmm.
rather than 2 weeks. I will tell you if it's going to be 3 to 4 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's having the trust, the patience, the understanding that
Yeah.
sometimes this is going to be a process.
Expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? Sometimes the investors are not waiting on the lawyer. Guess who we're waiting on? The seller. Because we've wanted them to send us documents,
Yeah.
but they don't send it. So the thing we learn, and this is not even a probate thing, what's the one thing we learn by being in transactions? Being on the same page. And sometimes being on the same page means being on the same email thread.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Get all parties on the same thread.
Same thread.
So everybody, all the decision makers. Oh man, if there's one thing I cannot stand is the he said, she said, and you talked to her and she said to you, and I'm like, no, everybody in one.
Yeah,
100%.
Everybody in one.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, that's so important. And then because then you can kind of get everybody going and spur them along.
Yeah, and there's just so many things when it comes to communication and deal structuring, right? So a lot of the times investors want to know the breakdown in fees and cost and how much and how long. These are puzzles and you have to see it as a puzzle because you also don't want to lock yourself in on a price without knowing what that is. Imagine, Jesse, you're just like, don't worry, I'll take care of probate. And then you come to me, you're like, what are we looking at? I'm like, 6 probates, $25,000. You're like, what? Like I didn't account for that in the purchase price.
Hold on.
Yeah, hold on. Put that big asterisk in the contract, right? And it's those experience things that I'm not an investor. And I see things more. I've learned more from the investors and the real estate professionals being on this side of things, like than ever. Like,
I bet.
Yeah, a lot of people say, why don't you do estate planning? And I'm like, well, first, I don't want to go through all that too. That's a whole other side of the practice. But I sure see things from my end that should have been done. Right. So same thing on the real estate side and getting experience, right? In diving in a niche that you don't know is surrounding yourself with the people that have seen this a few times, been around the block several times, 5 times, 10 times, and really learning from them on what you need. And I can tell you what I've learned in 2 years is incredible. Like there's things I know now I didn't know in 2020. And there's things that are going to happen in 2025 I didn't know now.
Totally.
But that's all called learning and constantly being in that niche.
Yeah. Well, that's just it, man. That's one of the biggest things that I have taken away in the last even 5 years, right? Is you got to get the right people around you that are the experts in their thing. Don't just go, half-ass and get the cheap guy or gal or try to save a buck or try to do it yourself, right? No. Who, not how. Have you read that book?
So no, I haven't actually read that. Yeah.
Oh, Who, Not How.
Right? Yeah, you're
everybody's who.
I haven't been the biggest book reader. It's crazy. Yeah. And I see so many of the big names that they read all the big books and there's so many amazing books that come out. So I'll put that on the list.
Well, I'm not scolding you. I'm just saying. Yeah. But
you're good.
Yeah. It's a good book. But yeah, I've loved to read and podcasts and audiobooks way more in the last 10 years than I did in college, than I did in high school, because for me I can instantly take that and apply that to business, apply that to life, right? And say, okay, that can help me here, that can help me here, because I just want to go faster. I just want I want shortcuts, I want secrets, I want to learn from someone who's already been there, done that. And you can do that a lot, but that's just it. The who, not how. The premise is basically, don't try to figure out everything yourself and say, how do I do this? You say, who can help me do this? Right. So you are definitely the who for so many people that can help get it done. And they can just go to you, and then they can do what they're doing, just go get more deals to pay you the 25 grand, right?
I had
Find some more
somebody,
deals, and there you go.
yeah, I had somebody on a call the other day that said, "Al, if it weren't for you and what you're doing with probate, I wouldn't be in it. I wouldn't be picking up these deals." And I'm thinking, "Whoa, pressure's on," you
Yeah,
know?
right.
Because I'm
It's
like,
cool
"Wait a
though.
second, you wouldn't be on that deal or getting involved in that." Because again, the stigma, the pressure before of people getting into it, when you can make something exciting and like John Jackson was saying on stage, sexy, right? If
Yeah,
you make it like that, if you
yeah.
know how to really spruce up the topic and make it fun and educational and exciting,
Hmm.
you revolutionize a niche it's been around for so long. And I'm even every day, I'm always just like, how do you make this more fun? How do you make it more simple? How do you make it easier? And like Jesse, this whole show, this podcast, we haven't even talked about concepts that are like super complicated. And that's what's amazing about what we're doing right now. We're
Right.
not talking about the complicated stuff. That's even better, right? Not getting down in the weeds
Hmm.
is the best part, because when you get in the weeds, that's when a lot of people go, is it for me? Do I want to get into it? Be big picture, right?
Yeah.
Big picture is there's deals, there's a puzzle, there's things that you got to overcome, there's people that you got to surround yourself with, build a team on, and those
Hmm.
are your go-to people to find out how you overcome these problems.
Dude, I love that so much. So tell us kind of, how did you get into this? Like, what's your back? Where you from? What's your background? How'd you get into this, and why do you love this stuff so much?
So background, from Miami,
Okay.
grew up there many years. Actually, violinist for like 15 years.
No way.
Yeah, that's actually my violin.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, Italian violin right there.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
played
sweet.
violin. I was good at it.
On the streets of Miami, you and Pitbull just doing your
Yeah,
thing, or
Pitbull,
what?
right? In
Yeah,
Cayocho, right? No, no, not that far down there.
yeah.
But yeah, I was classically trained. I love being in the music world. And it's kind of crazy. You want to talk about another topic, is like the music world kind of reminds me, the real estate world kind of reminds me of the music world. In the sense that when I was in music school, we're always around the same people that were like-minded, that had a vision, that, good people,
Mhm.
wanted to help each other, had good backgrounds, good families. There was something to that, right? There wasn't like a whole crazy fest of different situations. Like everybody had like a good background, good family.
Mhm. Mhm.
And the same thing is like in real estate, right? We meet amazing people, good families. They're killing it in real estate, successful, and we're
Mhm.
all in it together, like always surrounding ourselves in that group. And it reminds me of that. So crazy
It's cool.
background. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Background music, was in Miami for many years, went to law school in Orlando.
Okay.
That was the first time actually being away from home. Was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. It was a different
Been home many
experience.
many years.
Yeah, it was a different
Yeah.
experience. I mean, getting away out of Miami, at that time, I thought, okay, it's like, school, and I'm a
Mhm.
little bit on my own, and,
Mhm.
not financially independent yet, but, kind of got my independence. And that was also a really important thing too, was getting away and having that independent growth, not being home all the time.
Mhm.
Um, but then, once I passed the bar, got through school, ended up taking a job with another attorney whose son and I were playing music back in high school. We were all part of a quartet. So his stepfather ended up being a lawyer with an
Okay.
office,
Okay.
and he was doing real estate law. So he was doing foreclosure defense, some litigation, aviation stuff. So after school, I'm like, hey, Dennis, like, you got anything? You're like, can you show me the ropes? And, he's like, yeah, let's see what's going on. So, worked for him for like 2
That's cool.
years.
Okay.
Yeah. And I got to see a lot of stuff. I got to see a lot of foreclosure stuff. So at the time I was dabbling in some of the probate stuff, but more foreclosure, but not like the mill it is today, like nowhere near that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I got a flavor. And
Yeah.
this all came about when my best friend from school, Jesse, He was telling me something about this idea about like all these properties, imagine all these properties that are just sitting out there that have never gone through probate. And these people can't sell them without going through the probate process. And a lot of investors and people are trying to help these people, but they don't have the money to do it and finding a way to figure it out. And at the time, like the light bulb didn't go off. It's like,
Mhm.
all right, there's a lot, right? What do you
Yeah.
do, Jesse, when you see the water bill list or the code violation list? You're like, wow, there's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
How do you tackle that thing?
Yeah.
Like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah,
Had the same
exactly.
feeling, same
It's
exact thing.
overwhelming almost. Just
Yeah, it's like,
like where do I find there's just a lot. There's a lot there.
where do you go? What do you do? What
Yeah.
do you do?
Mhm.
So, at the time I was like, all right, let me do some research. So I was in on it, I was like
Mhm.
researching, I was pulling things, I was sitting outside doing the pool and everything, but nothing ever happened. And the year went by, comes back down. He's like, so what did you find out? And I'm like, I still don't get it. You can't, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
And then he explained it again. And when I saw what the vision was behind it, that's when the light bulb really went on. I floored it 400 miles an hour. And I said, whoa, there's a massive opportunity for this niche where a lot of people never really went after it, or they went after it,
So
but they didn't have,
what happened that time? What happened that time that made the light go bing?
I think it was just the concept of the family can't sell if they don't have the money to do probate because they got to go through probate. Like if they don't have the money to do probate, they can't sell that property.
So
So
they're
the only
stuck.
way that, yeah, right. So the only way to do it is to wait for attorney's fees at the close and then get paid, right? Or the buyer can pay and they're essentially going through the probate. They didn't have to do anything. And we just wait until off the settlement statement. So I think it was a wait a second, there's a structure opportunity here that's different than most, and
Mhm.
it could provide a competitive edge. So
Now you're like, wait, now I see like this big intimidating list and I can now see how I have to get into this. And it's not that intimidating anymore because now you know how to start kind of digging in.
yeah. And
Yeah.
at the time, you don't hear me talking about solutions.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
talking about lists. So
Yeah.
look how it morphed from there's a crazy opportunity with all these properties to wait a second, investors are already coming after this already, and they just don't know where to go, what to do, how to overcome it. So right when that happened, I was like,
Mhm.
I was trying to explain it, maybe go to some presentations. I think I did a realtor presentation at a brokerage office down in Coral Gables.
Okay.
And I think I remember talking about it and some people picked up on it, but not like today.
Yeah.
Totally different. But that's how it really started. And then all of a sudden, at that time, Jesse was up here in Jacksonville. He's like, hey, I got an opportunity. You want to come up? If you did what you were doing in Miami and Jacksonville, you'd kill it. And I'm thinking, I don't know how that can be. Like nobody's understanding it here. Nobody's getting it, not going. Jesse, as soon as that happened, boom. It just from there, the speaking, the touring. I mean, fast forward, what,
Wow.
4 years later? It's almost 4 year mark in Jacksonville. And I always tell people, had I not left Miami, I don't know if I'd be talking on the Jesse Mills podcast right now. You
Dude,
know?
that's crazy. Yeah. So good thing you got outside your comfort zone and you took a chance and left your backyard and said, let's go give this a go. And then you're like, wait a minute, like things are here, but I could go next level with this stuff. And you
Yeah.
learned it.
And that's kind of lately, that's
Mhm.
kind of propelled me, that same mindset has propelled me once again to a new level of getting outside my comfort zone, doing things I normally wouldn't do. I mean, traveling all around the state, um, you know, actually taking and capitalizing on things that I wasn't capitalizing when I was at a law firm. And I think it's really starting to see what you're capable of when you get outside the box. And I think a lot of people think that there's those limits. You got no limits. Like the
No,
limits are only the limits that you think are limits. There are no limits. You got to really go after it and really expand your mind.
love that you think that. Yeah, that's one of the biggest secrets I don't think many people don't figure out. They really don't figure out. And it's very difficult to figure that out if you're with a crowd that doesn't think like that, right? So difficult. But
Yeah.
you start getting in other rooms, and that's one of the cool things. Um, just getting out and being with other people doing similar things to you, but different things as well. Like the hero event, right, that we were at and that you spoke at. I'm like, in my world, I know my stuff real good with what I do, right? Like a lot of people come to me first for advice on lease to own and getting contract for deed and owner financing, mortgage stuff, right? Short-term rentals. But I've never flipped land. And I'm sitting next to a couple of guys at the table, like, oh, they're flipped, a few hundred pieces of land. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Sitting next to another guy, him and his wife, they got mobile home parks all over the place. Hundreds of mobile homes. Like, I've never done that. So there's so many things, and like in the law field, right? In the legal profession, how many people are, an attorney and they're doing whatever they're doing, and you found your niche for sure, right? You found your niche and said, no, I'm not just going to be an attorney doing blah blah blah. You said, I'm going deep on this, and this is your thing, and you're owning it, and I love it, and you're creating kind of your own blue ocean with it, which is really sweet. But
Yeah.
it just opens up so many doors to so many opportunities.
Yeah, no, and thanks for recognizing that. I mean, this has been a
Yeah.
pedal to the metal really for the last year. And it's kind of crazy because I mean, time stamping the time we're doing this right now, but
Hmm.
the summer is going to be a little bit slower,
Hmm.
but come fall is going to ramp up once
Hmm.
again. The travel is going to be insane. I mean,
Hmm.
between going to the Hustle Hard conference and Zach Weiss group in Pennsylvania speaking there, and then flipping it back around and going to the Hive Mind conference and so many events that are happening in August and September. It's crazy because, you also have to focus on your business. You have to focus on the personal stuff too. And really going hard at it is making these deposits. What we're doing now is making deposits for tomorrow, and they do pay off. All of it pays off.
That's such a great way of saying it. Really is. Yeah. And the connection and the synergy, right, is humongous. I know for me, I don't know about for you. It sounds like I don't want to hear it, but you said there's been this huge trajectory in 4 years. But for myself, I know probably 3 years for sure, 3 to 4 for me, pretty close to that, is when I've really started investing in myself. Right, I've really started investing in education, masterminds, groups, coaching. Not just me coaching others, but me, receiving. And it's funny because like the dollar amounts keep growing, and it seems scary at sometimes. Like, wow, I'm gonna join this $24,000 mastermind. Holy cow! But the people you meet in there, all you need is one person, one connection. And I don't mean that from I do this, you do this type of attitude at all, but a collaboration, right? Everyone's there is to give and to share and to grow. And so if you have a special skill set and ways you can help somebody, and someone else has ways they can help you, and you now meet that person, like a couple months ago, I didn't know somebody that would be the freaking ninja, right, on probate, and now I got my guy,
I'm
right?
here, man. I'm
Now I
right
got
here,
my guy, which is killer, right?
I love
And
it.
so yeah, you got to get in those circles, and you got to trust that if you invest the time and the resources and the capital, and just talk. Like, you can't show up and not talk. You can't just be like, I'm in the room and I'm by myself at the lunch table. You got to talk. You got to go meet people. Yeah, it's crazy, man. You get in those rooms and you start seeing that there's a lot of people doing some really cool things, and they want to give, they want to share. And I think that's important. So I love that you get that. I love that you're a part of those. You're going to those things and you're at those events and you're giving and sharing and teaching. And you want to help other people solve their puzzles and their problems.
Right. Yeah. And it's bringing the experience
Hmm.
and the mindset behind it, and
Hmm.
also taking all those prior experiences and hypotheticals
Mm.
and
Mm.
trying to form a way to say, hey, this is plan A, plan B. All right, this would be plan C. Does the money work? Does the spread work? Does the scenario work? You know, there's just so many different ways and different things that happen. I mean, between land, between
Mhm.
commercial land, between single family residences. I mean, so many different things. I had a case today where the family in Germany and they own land in Florida. And, they died. I don't even know when. It was like 13 years ago. They've just been hanging on to that property. And they're like, how do we solve that?
Wow.
So I'm not just picking up just domestic probate. I'm picking up German and Swiss probates now.
Yeah. International, baby.
Let's go. Let's
Yeah.
go.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, you got to be seeing so much different stuff that comes at you, man. I love it.
All the time.
So explain to us how what you're doing is giving you lifestyle freedom and financial freedom, because I know you're making all the right moves, right? And you're helping other people get that by being a resource and an ally to their business.
So I think it really starts at in my world of not only just all the speaking, but
Mm-hmm.
really driving in all the marketing and the leads, right? And lead capturing and
Mm-hmm.
conversions.
Mm-hmm.
So marketing is really does nothing if you don't make results, right? You can do all the marketing you
Correct.
want. If you can't execute and
Mm-hmm.
convert,
Mm-hmm.
marketing is for what? So first of all, the way to get to that point is executing and conversion. Now, the other part of it is building a team that you can train and help scale your business so it's automated on that level. So you're starting to step away from the things that one you don't want to do, two that you shouldn't be doing anymore, and three to go to the things that you now do want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's having that self-awareness of it's time to delegate. It's time to they're doing this role, you're doing this role. I know where I need to be. This is where I need to be, right? With Jesse,
Mm-hmm.
right? Being on this, doing this, and explaining this. I don't need to be drafting and pounding that out and filing it all the time. Well, I was 6 months ago. And after a while, it catches up. So to get to that the freedom part is really focusing in, being laser focused on getting those leads, building relationships with people, really finding out what they're looking for and building that community with people like you, Jesse, the investors, all the
Mm-hmm.
big names, the people that are local, all the local investors, and really fine tuning what they're looking for, what they're trying to overcome, and doing it together. And in between all of that and scaling your business is really how it starts to really fly. And right now with my business, man, I mean, leads, it's never been more. I mean, there's so many leads coming in. I had, you know, like last Thursday, there were 17 consults. I fit them all in. I had 12
Wow.
consults the next day. I don't even know how many I had today, but I told my assistant, I was like, put them on. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Yeah.
Because what you do today, the deposits you make today are going to benefit you later. But it's also being aware of also what recharges you, what
Mm.
re always reinventing yourself in your processes is
Mhm.
very important. So being able to change scenery, change momentum, change your different ways in what you do is really important. Like right now, man, more on the more personal health side than
Mhm.
ever,
Yeah,
ever.
good for you. It's
Yeah,
awesome. It's
ever.
awesome. And how's it affecting your business?
Way better because I'm more clear-minded, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you're eating the right things, when you're working out, when you're able to so you said something interesting before behind the scenes, behind the
Mhm.
mic about like, if you're in your office all the time, after a while, you're just like it all of a sudden becomes like a stale phase of like, well, wait a second, I got to change scenery. Well, that's
Mhm.
something I realized that I was always like, but when it came to work, I thought, okay, work in the same spot. No, I like getting up. I like going to different places, going here, going there. And even the travel showed me that as well. So I'd say to even also get to that financial freedom, that independence,
Yeah.
it's not all about just the lead revenue and the capturing, but
Mhm.
it's also finding the things that make you tick and move, and finding your groove with things that are going to keep you motivated and keep you refreshed and keep you on your toes and not put you in the same cycle over and over and over again.
That's so important, man. That's good. Yeah, we were kind of talking again behind the mic, behind the scenes before. That's so true, because a lot of it is, I think we're saying it's almost like psyching yourself out, right? It's like tricking yourself, because you have to know, like for you, like 9 at night, distractions are done. You can handle all the fires of the day. You can get in the groove. You can have some downtime, which I'm gonna for sure take away from that conversation, right? Not trying to run up right to the last minute, because I must get one more thing done. I can do one more thing, right? But that can hurt the effectiveness of what you're doing afterwards, right? And I want to have like full attention, and be fully present and not be thinking anything else. And it's hard to do. So it's like knowing yourself and how to even trick yourself, which is, I think, so important, because as an entrepreneur, and folks who are self-employed like us, you have to, like you said, you got to motivate yourself, and you have to change the scenery. You have to, work at the times that are optimal for you. And sometimes it's just switching it up, switching scenery or what you're doing. So yeah, that's good. It's really good.
Huge. I mean, that's the biggest thing I've learned even this year, just being on tour, is that the tour just at times I'm traveling all the time. It can be tiring, but really it taught me like a change of scenery thing. So that ended up being a really huge moment.
Dude, that's huge. Do you, I want to ask you this, when you're traveling or you're touring, do you almost work a little harder because you have such little, like, limited time breaks, and like you got a day or two of office time and then you're on the road or you're traveling? Do you like kill it, or do you get sloppy and get behind?
Great question. So, what I noticed that would happen is before I traveled, I tried to do as much as I could. I went through all my emails. I prepped myself before the trip, the weekend before, and I knew stay on top of as many things. Why? Because when you travel, you got to focus on the road. You can't be on the phone doing consults and stuff like that. So when I was on the road, I mentally told myself, okay, do your thing, drive, dinner, network. But at night, I was like, it's nighttime. Boom, you go through emails. Okay, got to wake up at 5, go get coffee from Starbucks. Boom, pound on emails the next morning. And I knew if I didn't get it done, I had to move on to my next thing, prep and move on for the day. So traveling taught me a lot about, look, you're not going to be able to do your work 24/7. And this is why I built out systems with my entire team on everything that I'm doing. I mean, they were waiting on me for a while to review stuff, to review all the documents, but I can't if I'm here and there and at networking. Jesse, the conferences, when you're at a 3-day conference, you're there because you want to engage with people, not because you just got to be on the phone all the time.
Absolutely.
You want to be engaged in networking with everybody. And the thing that can be distracting is the work. So you also have to compartmentalize. Wait a second. This is networking time. Okay. At 5 p.m. before dinner, going to run up, maybe take some phone calls, get people on the calendar. Okay, done. That's it. That's all you got to do. And you just do your best. You do your best, but that's why you have an amazing personal assistant. It's why you have you got to find that. And fortunately, we got that now. Fortunately, we got a system down that I get people on the calendar. I don't miss.
That's huge. That's huge. Yeah. And I'm super lucky that way as well. I've got, a full-time assistant, a couple, one local and one virtual, and then a team. And, it's just, let's go on the calendar, schedule the day and time. Let's get it all knocked out. I can't stand phone tag. Like I totally borrowed this from my boy Joe McCall years ago. I think he's got calljoe.net, and it goes to his calendar. Like, oh, that's so beautiful. And I don't know if he invented that or if he got that from someone else. But so I got calljesse.net. So sorry, Joe. I obviously hacked you on that. I'm sure you know that, right? But it's just great. So now I just say, hey, go to calljesse.net
Yeah.
and just pick your day and time. I do not send me 7 to 10 more emails or texts. How about this time? How about this time? And you just line it up, and then you can block, right? So you get your call days, you get your video days. For me, like I love to travel. I love to go on vacation. I love to incorporate vacation with work whenever I can. So not because that sounds like I almost have like a disease or I have a problem, right? Like be like, can't you just get away and just travel just for fun? But why? Like to me, again, what I do, I love what I do. And if I'm going to go anywhere that I want to be at, in a nice location, like I'm going to Hawaii in a couple of weeks with the wife for 10 days, right? I was in Florida a few weeks ago at our short-term rental property there. I want to go meet with the people I want to meet with. I want to go have some meetings. I want to maybe look at property, right? But I also know I'm kind of out of the pocket. So I know that, as you and I are talking right now, my inbox is filling up and my texts are filling up with offers to get in, right? So we're working on that with our team. So I'm not the only guy doing that. So now there's someone else that can do that all the time. So we're making that transition. But I also know if I'm going to be out of the pocket all day at a conference, right? I'm going to wake up and what is the top 2-3 things that I have to do that entire day, right? That's going to make the biggest difference, right? What's the biggest money makers for that day from 9 to 9:30 on Monday, or well, maybe it's 7 to 7:30, right? Because you're already at the conference at 9.
Right.
Right. So for me, traveling, it almost is it Parkinson's law, right? The amount of time that you have expands to the amount of things you have to do, or kind of vice versa, right? If you give yourself 8 hours to do, 8 hours of stuff, it's going to take you 8 hours. But you might only have 3 hours worth of stuff. But if you spread it out all day long, it's going to take you 8.
Yeah.
Right? But if you say you only got 3 hours to do this, and that is it, and then all of a sudden we're taking your phone away and we're throwing it in a Ziploc bag, ironically, you get that shit done. Right? You get it done in 3, and it's amazing how you could do it, but before you couldn't do it. So I think that's huge with networking and events and traveling, is it gets you to do that, because you're like, crap, if there's 3 people I talk to all day long, or these 2 calls or 3 calls or 5 emails, this is it. This is what is going to keep the business rolling forward at maximum capacity and efficiency. It's huge.
Love it.
Yeah, dude. Well, you're learning. You're doing.
Yeah.
You're growing, man.
Yeah, it's all about experience and actually just doing this stuff and really getting into it, right? So being in the real estate game, learning from others, learning from the things that are going on, even in the law firm, learning from all the people that are doing amazing things with marketing and stuff like that. So just huge learning experience always.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, dude, I really, really, really appreciate you coming on and being here. And I know that we just scratched the surface barely on any stuff. So I would love to have you back again. And for those of you that are watching this and listening to this and after the fact, drop your comments and questions below because we haven't even touched like the tip of the Al Nicoletti genius of what he does and what he knows, the crazy problems that you're solving and putting out. So I know there's a lot more there. So will you come back again sometime?
Oh, absolutely, man.
Awesome.
I'm already there. You just put me on the calendar. I'm in.
Love it, dude. I love it. Yeah, there's so much to get to.
Yeah.
So sweet. Well, where can people find you right now, and how can people reach out to you?
For sure. So everybody could find me. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, always posting videos. The Instagram, posting reels and everything. So you can find me there under Al Nicoletti. The website, www.alnicoletti.com. My phone number, 904-999-0053. But also you can find the Al Nicoletti Show, which is on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play. So you could find everything everywhere. You just got to type in the name, type in the name. It's there.
ALNICOLETTI. Al Nicoletti.
Jesse, thanks. Thank you for having me on your show, man. I'm excited to see you grow, see the show grow, see you bring on amazing people, amazing guests. And the list really is endless when it comes to having real estate guests on the show, because there's just a wealth of knowledge, wealth of experience, people that have been in the game for 3 years and are killing it, people that have been in the game for 40 years and killing it.
Right. Yeah. Thanks, man. I super appreciate that. And yeah, for me, like we're just talking, like a travel and the masterminds and the networking and the the seminars and the events and all that stuff, like that's it's work. Again, we're working, but that's still, to me, that's lifestyle freedom, right? Like, I went, I think a week or two after that, and went back and had a great, half day of jet skiing on the beach and having nice, tropical drinks and talking about how we can, collaborate on some different deals, right? With Mark, who was there. And like, this is awesome. Like, this is my work day. This is not a bad little Tuesday, jet skiing out in the ocean. And so, but I've worked hard, as you have, to create that freedom within your business. And it's not like you work less. It's certainly not we work any less, I don't think. Probably working more, right? Nights, weekends, everything. But it's also, I can take the day off to do that. Right. And I know that my work is, a different level of doing that kind of stuff. And same with you. So you're a great example of doing that. And so for me, just, to kind of segue as we depart, the Creative Cash Flow Show is not just real estate too, right? So I love the day and age that we're in right now, because there's people that are killing it, multiple six figures with Turo, for example, right? They're just renting out their cars, right? And there's people doing crypto. There's people doing all sorts of different things for creative cash flow. People flipping RVs, doing all sorts of crazy things. And at the end of the day, it's, what do you want your life to look like, right? Design your life. Don't get your job and then fulfill, wrap your life around that job. That's what too many people do, right? What do I want my day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month to look like? How do I want to live? And then how can I build around that? And so if the show can help, give some ideas to folks that aren't there yet and help them go the right direction, and maybe it meets the next person that helps with the next person, then that's what I'm super pumped about. So thank you for being on it, man.
Hey, it was an honor, privilege. Thank you so much for having me, Jesse. And you keep going, keep doing it. And to the audience out there, you could do it. When it comes to real estate, you can do it and find that work-life balance. And it's called working smarter, not harder.
Absolutely. Amen, brother. Amen. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
See you soon.